It's a Thursday, and the Colts coaching search is getting serious. Purdue, they got a win last night against Penn State, which is exactly what Indiana wanted for Purdue. You do not want Purdue coming to Bloomington kind of with an edge, having been taken to the limit and maybe having been beaten. You don't want any of that. You want them coming into Bloomington fat and happy, because what you're going to have to do to beat Purdue is how to execute them. So them coming in maybe without that edge, that's going to be a very good thing. Pacers, they got the Lakers tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The trade deadline just 1 week away. There is plenty of buzz about the Indiana Pacers and the trade deadline. We're going to talk about all of that and more. This is Breakfast with Kent for Thursday, Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 2023, brought to you by the great people at BUSR. You go to busr.com/Kent. What they're going to do is if you open an account, if you register, and then you deposit a minimum of $100. This is a sport gambling website, by the way, and gambling on other stuff as well. But if you deposit $100 minimum within 24 hours of registering, you are going to be entered in a contest for viewers of this channel only to win a free $1,000 bet. And the drawing is coming up in about 4 days. And you're going to get called out on the show. You're going to get a call from the great people at BUSR. And you're going to have that free bet available for the Super Bowl a week from this Sunday. How about them apples? So sign up today and deposit your $100 within 24 hours. busr.com/Kent. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Ring the bell so you get an alert every time we go live. If you want to make a donation, you make a donation. I don't quibble about it. Let's talk sports. Let's talk about the Colts and their coach search. All right, Brian Callahan spoke to the Colts yesterday. It went well. He is going to Arizona to talk to the Cardinals today. The Colts have 7 that they have interviewed 2 times, and they may go through a 3rd round of interviews, which seems preposterous, but they're dotting their I's and crossing their T's this time, baby. They are not going to get Josh McDaniel this time. No. Here are some requirements I have for the resolution of this coaching search. All right, they got to go offense. You got to go either Brian Callahan or Shane Steichen. You cannot go defense. You cannot go special teams with Rich Bisaccia. And you cannot go Jeff Saturday. Absolutely no to Saturday. The 1-7 didn't kill him. But the 33s, 33 twice. The Cowboys scored 33 against the Colts in the 4th quarter of their game down in Dallas. Wow. And then the Colts are up in Minnesota, and they've got a 33-0 lead, and they lose that game. That's the biggest lead lost in the history of the NFL. That happened in successive games. They were separated by the bye week, but happened in successive games. And you cannot do that and make it appear to anybody with a functional brain that that hire was not a mistake. And the key to running any kind of business, key to running any kind of department, is you cannot repeat mistakes. If you make a mistake, you must correct it. You cannot make the same mistake twice, or people are going to think, number one, that their money should not be invested in your enterprise, and number two, that you're crazy. Don't let people think you're crazy. And I'm talking directly to Jim Irsay. Jim Irsay has got to know that hiring Jeff Saturday, despite his affinity for Jeff Saturday, and we all love Jeff Saturday, one of the great guys in the history of sports media, no question about that. And his first job in sports media, where was it? WIBC Radio. When we interviewed Jeff, he walked out of the room. I said, boys, that's our guy. We don't need to talk to anybody else. That's the guy. Tom, John, they were on board. They liked Jeff too. So off we went with Jeff Saturday as our player analyst as we had our partnership with the Colts. That's simple. But so anyway, the love for Jeff Saturday is well earned by Jeff. You can't hire him to be the coach again. You just can't do that. You need a quarterback whisperer, and that's kind of where you you sort of judge Shane Steichen, who's the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator right now, and Brian Callahan, who's the Bengals offensive coordinator. Brian Callahan's worked with 4 really good quarterbacks: Peyton Manning, Derek Carr, Matt Stafford, and Joe Burrow. But I'm not sure if any of those guys, Matt Stafford was a number 1 overall pick, right? Peyton Manning was a number 1 overall pick, and Joe Burrow was a number 1 overall pick. That's pretty good. If you got to work with quarterbacks and 75% of your guys are number 1 picks, you're doing pretty well, right? You were born under a good sign. I'm not sure how much quarterback whispering any of those 4 quarterbacks needed, right? However, with Steichen, it's a little bit different because you got Jalen Hurts. And Shane Steichen really got a lot of good stuff out of Jalen Hurts and catered an offense to him. And as you look at Jalen Hurts and you look at a guy like C.J. Stroud, or even maybe at a slightly different level, you look at Bryce Young, because literally different levels, one's 6'3" and one's 5'11" or so. You have kind of a Jalen Hurts type of thing. And so if you can hire a guy who has, and this is supposing that Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Eagles, and Steichen's boss, doesn't say, hey, listen, don't go to Indy. Indy's full of nuts. They're crazy people. As long as Nick doesn't do that and Steichen takes the job if offered, you know what? You got a guy who's really done very, very good work with Jalen Hurts and has put him in a position to succeed. Granted, the acquisition of A.J. Brown was a big part of that, but they've really done good work. He has done good work with Jalen Hurts, who's a 53rd overall pick. He wasn't a number 1 pick. That isn't who he was. So these are 2 different guys. Same age, yes. Same titles, yes. But sort of different situations. I'll take either of them. Just like I'll take either Young or Stroud and be happy about it going into next year. Happy. Wait, you give me a combination of Callahan and Steichen and Stroud and Young, I'm all good. I'm done whining about the Colts. All right? And there is no chance. People keep asking me this. There's no chance that Ballard's going to quit. Because if he was going to quit, he would have done it prior to this coach search. He wouldn't do it after. You're not going to hire a coach and then abandon him. I mean, that is way not in Chris Ballard's playbook. So not going to happen. Hey, last night, Purdue, they played a hell of a basketball game against a very good Penn State team. They won 80-60. Penn State didn't shoot it well. I'll tell you what Purdue does. Purdue gets in a stance. That's what Purdue does. All 5 positions in a stance, every defensive possession. It is really, really good. And last night, Mason Gillis hit 9 threes. First guy in the history of Mackey Arena to hit 9 threes. Here's a hint for Micah Shrewsbury, and this is something he should already know. If you got a guy on the opposition who played high school basketball at Newcastle, you guard him out to the volleyball line because they can shoot. I don't know what they got in the water in Newcastle, but every kid out in Newcastle can shoot. And Mason Gillis is no different from those guys. So, should have guarded him. But here's what Purdue does really, really well. They set great screens. They make great cuts. They do all the fundamental stuff correctly. And they do it. Mason Gillis, one of the guys, Mason Gillis was ranked 220th in the class of 2019. In the class of 2022, Braden Smith was ranked just inside the top 200 and was only offered by Montana, Appalachian State, and Toledo. Zach Edey was ranked 459. This is a team cobbled together with the right kind of people to fit Purdue's culture. That's what this is. That's how they win. And Indiana is frustrated in the attempt to do the same thing, but with more talented people. They recruit more talented players, but less people who maybe fit that sort of competitive chew nails and, that kind of basketball player that Purdue seems to find in abundance all the time. They used to just have like Chris Kramer, who was kind of a balls to the wall, you know, he'd step over his grandmother to get a win, right? That's Chris Kramer. Indiana doesn't get that kind of guy, and now Purdue's got gobs of those guys, and Matt Painter's rolling. And it's kind of fun to watch. I got to tell you the truth. As long as they're not playing Indiana, I think Indiana wins on Saturday because I believe that the crowd at Assembly Hall is going to lift Indiana significantly. And I think guys like Braden Smith, God love him, they're going to come into that environment, and it's just going to be totally different from anything they've ever heard or felt in their lives. Sometimes sound has feel. Al Michaels told us that when he was describing Lake Placid during the 1980 Winter Olympics, and Team USA beat the Soviets, right? Some sound has feel. It does, and it will at Simon Scott Assembly Hall on Saturday. You know what? Recruiting based on rankings is just completely idiotic. You got to do more than stop Edey. You've got to execute better, and you got to be tougher than Purdue. And those are two really big and tough boxes to check. Pacers tonight against the Lakers. Here's my dream for this game, all right? That LeBron James, at the end of the game, is hit on the arm by Chris Duarte. And the ball does not go in the net. It would have been a game-winning shot. He looked kind of like he was fouled, but they don't call the foul. And so LeBron James gets on the floor and bangs, gets on his knees and bangs his fists on the floor. This is what I want. I want him to be at his self-immersed, petulant best tonight as the Pacers kick the living hell out of the Los Angeles Lakers. And then a week from today, you got the trade deadline, the NBA trade deadline, and there are reports that Chris Duarte and Buddy Hield, if you call about those guys, Kevin Pritchard, he's going to pick up the phone, maybe do a deal. Also, they have two additional, in addition to their own, first-round draft picks. They have the Cavs pick, which is going to be outside the lottery, so the Pacers are going to get it because the Cavs are rolling since they acquired Donovan Mitchell, which was really a prescient thing to do. They've also got the Celtics first-round draft pick, which is number 30, and they've got the Rockets second-round draft pick, which right now is number 31. They have a lot of draft equity that they could surrender along with a couple of players to go get some guys. Maybe, knock wood, OG Anunoby. Although he gets injured periodically, man, that dude plays winning basketball, and he is about as long gets. So, you know what? Good for the Indiana Pacers, and hopefully they're able to get that done. We have got to celebrate some birthdays, and my birthday list is right over here. I left it on the table, and so we will peruse the birthday list and celebrate the birthdays of Herb Petrata. Herb Petrata celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday to Herb. I knew I was going to forget the birthday list. Herb Petrata celebrating a birthday. Warren Brewstar, former Chicago Cub, former Philadelphia Philly, celebrating a birthday. Joe Jobin. What Warren Brewstar did really well, and as he watches this, because we're Facebook friends, I don't want Warren to get salty, but what Warren used to do when he was with the Cubs is he'd come in the middle of an inning, and you'd have guys on first and third. He would allow all inherited runners to score, none of his own, so his ERA was really, really pretty good. But he allowed a lot of other pitchers' runs to be counted against the Cubs. Joe Jobin, Ryan Egrick, Kenny Dilger celebrating a birthday. Love Kenny Dilger. Emily Weatherston Robeson, happy birthday. Brian Thompson, Billy Boat, Anthony Sullivan, happy birthday. If today's your birthday, you celebrate like hell. If it's not your birthday, you celebrate somebody else. It's best done with an honest and specific compliment. Later on today, Inside Indiana Sports Now, News at Once on the station, the YouTube channel, or Bulletins at Once on the YouTube channel, where news always comes first, right here. And thanks for the donations. I appreciate them.